I really want to set up my Hobonichi Weeks. So eventually, it's going to look something like this. On one side, we have be ambitious. There's a lot more that you could accomplish than you think you can. What I will be tracking, and the only thing I'll be tracking, is reading, like this. First week of December, planned and ready to attack. Hi, welcome to my video. This is Anything to Wear, and I talk all things fashion, except this week, I'm going to show you guys how I'm setting up my Hobonichi Weeks. I started this video as a part of my vlog for Thanksgiving last week, and then I realized my video would probably be really freaking long if I put it all together. So if the dialogue and stuff seems a little bit disjointed, that is because I thought I was filming a vlog. So bear with me there. So I'm going to kick it over to my past self so that she can tell you exactly how my Hobonichi is set up. All right, have fun, stay safe, bye. Okay, good afternoon, you guys. It's Saturday. Right now, I really want to set up my Hobonichi Weeks. So I got this a couple weeks ago and I haven't used it, obviously, because it's not 2026, but December 1st is on Monday. So it's time to set this baby up. And I'm very, very excited. I have never had a Hobonichi Weeks before. I used to be a really big bullet journaler back in the day, like in college. It was like one of my favorite things to do. But over the course of the years, like journaling has really turned into like a very therapeutic thing for me. So I'm a very traditional journaler in that I write like my personal reflections and like reading reflections and anything else going on in my mind. So I don't really use it as a space to look like pretty and aesthetic. You know, that's not what journaling is for me. It really is about processing and thinking. But I'm not gonna lie, like I miss it sometimes, like getting to do like a cutesy little spread. I do have 1,000,001 hobbies, so I don't see myself like sitting down to junk journal or anything like that. I want this Hobonichi Weeks planner to be kind of like an in-between space because I have my work journal where I track everything work related, but I don't have like a personal planner. And this is small enough to where like I can take it 1,000,001 places. So I'm going to be setting that up today. First thing I'm going to do is like kind of map out what I think I want it to look like in terms of like layout and things like that with sticky notes. And then I will show you guys kind of how I'm breaking everything down. All right, so planning first. Let's see how we're going to do this. Okay guys, so I just finished planning the layout of what I think my Hobonichi needs to work like. So here we go. For this yearly overlook, I'm not really looking to do anything really crazy creative here because it's important for me to be able to look back on these dates. What I'm planning to do here is map out birthdays, but more importantly, travel dates. Because I create a lot of content online, I really need a system to be able to look back when I went where. I really take advantage of traveling as an opportunity to create a lot more content for you guys. So if I'm able to look at really easily what years I was out of town and where I went, this is going to be really, really helpful. So in the future, it'll probably look something like this. Okay, and then we have this like weekly overlook spread. I'm not a huge tracker. Like I don't have anything in here that'll be tracking like my sleep or my steps or anything like that because all of that gets tracked on my phone already. So I'm not the type of person that needs to see that physically on a page. What I will be tracking, and the only thing I'll be tracking, is reading. I'm a pretty big reader. For those of you guys who don't know, I have a book club. And so what I try to do is stay about a month ahead of my book club. So I'm reading anywhere from like 2 to 3 to 4 extra titles a month to try and narrow down what our next literature pick is going to be. And so what I want this page to be is just like a visual look of how much I'm reading because it doesn't get tracked anywhere else in my ecosystem. So each day I'll be writing down the amount of minutes I spent reading or listening to an audiobook. And then up top, I'm going to horizontally write my favorite quote of the month in these little margins because I'm not too sure what these are supposed to be for. And because I'm tracking my reading anyways, I'll go ahead and just like write down my favorite quote. So eventually it'll probably look something like this. Okay, now we have the monthly breakdown. Again, a lot of this is really about functionality and organization. So I'm really going to keep the calendar breakdown incredibly simple. It really will just be for like important dates coming up, birthdays. Over here on the left, I will be putting my YouTube content. I try to publish every Sunday. So if I can lay it out a month ahead of what I want to shoot that month and when I want to publish it, that's going to be super easy. The only creative-ish thing I'll do here in the margins is just keep track of my reading list, so that when I do my roundups, it's easier for me to look back at like, okay, I read this month, this is what I think about it, and decide whether or not I'm going to pitch it to my book club. At the bottom, I'm going to leave this space open for just notes. You never know, like maybe I don't have enough time to like log something and I just need to quickly scribble something down. I'll leave that open, as well as like if I want to go back and do something a little bit more creative at the end of the month, I haven't decided. So I'll just leave it blank for now as just like a miscellaneous spot. Here on the left side, I'll have my monthly to-dos. So these are just really high level goals that I want to accomplish for the month, pretty straightforward. So eventually it's going to look something like this. Now for, I think, like the nitty gritty, right? This is going to be the most important breakdown because it'll be the one I'll be using every single day. It was important for me to set up a system that wasn't going to take ages for me to recreate every single week. If I did anything more complicated than this, then my likelihood of using this spread week to week would have dissipated by like 70%. So kept it really simple. Here in the first column, I'm going to break it down to just like appointments and events, things that are happening, any meetups that I'm doing with my friends. Just, I really only need one single column for my personal life. And then I'm going to take these two columns here as a to-do list for each day. And then on this left side, again, I'm going to flip it because it's easier for me to write this way. I'm going to take this first row as just content of the week. I'm going to plan out exactly when I'm shooting what, when everything is going up, and when I'm going to edit everything, so that I don't have to rework and organize dates on this side. It would have gotten really complicated. So I'm just going to keep it in line with each day and let this column be all content related. Here, it's prompts of the week. So I have been slacking on the writing department. I really want to write a lot more than I do right now. And so what I'm going to do is just write the prompts that I want for each day. Mapping them out at the beginning of the week is going to make writing so much more easier, more fun. So I'm just going to write a prompt for every single day horizontally. And then I'm going to have a section down here for notes, just to keep it open. Again, you never know when you have to jot something down really quickly. And then this is going to be the only section that I give myself to be kind of scrapbooky and creative. You know, whether that's pictures or just gluing mementos in here. That's what this part is going to be for. And I'm leaving it really open-ended because I don't want to overwhelm myself with, you know, committing to something that later is going to discourage me from using this. So eventually it'll likely look something like this. Then for the very back half of the journal, this is going to be my official reading log. I do have a reading journal, but again, it's not really meant to be super pretty, aesthetic, or anything like that. It's really just my real-time reflections as I'm reading each chapter, each book. It's not very organized. It's meant to be more messy so that I can just dump everything that's in my brain without the pressure of making it look nice. So I don't really have a formal reading log. I don't track things on GoodNotes. So I really felt like it was time to create a system for keeping track of everything that I'm reading. And this is just going to be my way to formally do that. And it's going to be a very straightforward spread of like a picture of the book, information like author, published date, publisher, and then down here, ratings, favorite quotes, and just overall thoughts. So eventually this will look something like this. Now what I'm going to do is do some repair work on this first page. I'm just going to stick a bunch of stickers on here and see what comes to me, make it a little bit more scrapbooky, and I'll show you guys once I'm done. So I just finished decorating the page that needed the most loving care. I left it fairly blank because in my mind, as I was decorating, I was like, I'll probably buy more stickers and want to fill it throughout the year, so I can't go too crazy. It was just a matter of covering up all the rips and stuff like that. So very simple. And I found 2 quotes in my sticker stash that I really liked. One of them is, why sometimes I believed as many as 6 things impossible before breakfast. And I feel like that's a really good quote to keep at the front because, like, you know, it's easy to start the day overwhelmed with what you think can't be done. But then obviously, if you have a plan, it gets a little bit easier. And then on the right side, it says, when you consider things like the stars, our affairs don't seem to matter very much, do they? So on one side, we have be ambitious. There's a lot more that you can accomplish than you think you can. And then on the right side is just also another gentle reminder of, but if it doesn't all happen, then, you know, we're all just human beings on a floating rock, so it doesn't really matter that much anyways. So a little bit of existentialism is good to keep one grounded. So first week of December, planned and ready to attack on Monday. Hey, I hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope that it was helpful. Make sure you stick around for next week because I'm going to have a whole roundup of my 2025 favorites. My credentials are that 1, I make the most out of my adult money. I do. 2, I think I have good taste. Can I say that? Yeah, I think I have great taste. And last one is I'm almost 30. So I've been around for a long time and I've bought a lot of things. So, all right, guys, that's it. Bye.